Today, I have various things I want to talk about. And the first thing is that Critical K is back. When I found out, and usually someone will come and tell me, this time I was just sitting in my room and I was thinking, my mind just ran over her. And I decided that I would type in her old name and I'll see, has she made a reappearance? And damn it! I feel like punching the wall. Critical K has made a comeback. Her channel has been terminated God knows how many times. And every single time she crawls her way back. For all who don't know who Critical K is, she is somebody who presents herself as a true crimer. But what she really does is that she tears apart and dissects and bullies victims and their families. And she says the most vile, vulgar, awful stuff. Her channel was deleted and removed by YouTube for bullying and harassment. She made a comeback again a few weeks or months after. That channel was terminated. And she has come back yet again with her usual tirades. Now, at first, she might seem very benign because she has a way of speaking that makes you think that she's a nice person until you dig a little bit deeper and you find out. I have her recordings, by the way, and I've been threatening to expose those recordings for a while. And depending on what happens, I might just do that. I mean, she said the most vile, vulgar things about Shanann. And she bullied another family that threatened to sue her. This is not somebody that I want on YouTube. When I found out that she was back, I'm just really devastated. Really devastated. I was hoping that she was somebody that YouTube would have been able to keep off and track. That hasn't happened. The other thing I want to talk about is Barry Morphew. I did a podcast on Barry Morphew a few months ago, and I said there is not enough to charge him with murder. I watched a Dateline documentary that showed that there was foreign DNA in his wife's car, Suzanne Morphew's car, that belonged, and it was partial DNA, but that DNA belonged to a sexual offender. And when I found that out, and bearing all the other things in mind, that there's no body, there's no evidence against him, I said to myself, no, the charges against Barry Morphew have to be dropped. This is a very unpopular opinion. Nearly like 90 to 95% of people that I speak to believe that he did it, and he may have well done it. I'm going to link the podcast for that Barry Morphew podcast that I did a few months ago into this video at the end. And I'll, where I explain why I just don't see the evidence. The evidence is just not there. I am very glad that the charges against Barry Morphew have been dropped because there simply was not enough evidence. There just wasn't enough. So anyway, I can't tell you how many times I've been trying to record today and just haven't been able to get the recording right. It's just been bumpy and pitchy and everything like that. Anyway, so I want to talk about with the Depp versus Heard case. Now, one of my subscribers asked me to do this, and unfortunately, I'm not able to dedicate this entire podcast to that one topic, that's what I wanted to do had I not found out that Critical K was back. And I was not interested in the Depp versus Heard case initially, and it's still not my biggest interest, but after seeing Johnny Depp take the stand, and I want to tell you that I did watch Scott Reich last night, and he pretty much had the same opinion that I did in the beginning. I thought that they both deserved each other, and there's no innocent in this, and that he was basically his brain went south when he married her. I mean, it didn't take him long to get married to her. I mean, I thought this is not a relationship where love took time to grow and they took time to know each other and then they got married. Yes, people can get married in a short space of time after knowing each other for a short space of time and have very long, fulfilling marriages. But, this is a guy who was in a marriage that lasted for decades and just met this girl and just got married to her within a year. And I think that he did it for very superficial reasons. Brain was going south. And I think she married him to elevate her status and to get to get her hands on his money. That's exactly why she married him. And in fact, Amber, I don't know of any relationship that she's been in that involves a man for any length of time. Practically all her relationships, besides Johnny Depp, have been with women. I personally believe that she's a lesbian. I'm not even sure she's even attracted to men, and that's fine. But therein lies the deceit to begin with. She wasn't attracted to men to begin with, and I think she married him. I don't think she ever loved him, and I think because she didn't love him, she proceeded to make that marriage as uncomfortable and unpleasant as possible so that she could get out of it as soon as possible and get as much cash into her hands, as quickly as possible. And I think that he was very, very naive and very stupid to marry this girl without really getting to know her. And that's one of the reasons. And like I said, brain was going south. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't feel empathy initially for Johnny Depp. But after hearing him talk about his childhood and about how abusive his mother was, and let's just say he was stuttering on the stand. It's very clear that he was nervous and very uncomfortable. I mean, he's quite, a renowned actor. I mean, this is not somebody who is not used to cameras being shoved in their faces. He's used to that. He's rich, he's famous, he's been in many movies, TV shows. This is not somebody who doesn't have experience of being in front of a camera. But watching him on that stand, you could see that he was very, very uncomfortable. And he was stuttering at sometimes. He was finding it hard to string some of his sentences together. He did look very, very vulnerable. And I did feel empathy for him when he talked about the abuse that he suffered as a child. And then when he talked about the abuse that he suffered in the marriage with his wife. And yes, he's an actor. And I think the point is for his defense team, or for his team, not his defense team, but for his team, I think the point is to make him look vulnerable, fragile, and, to win, obviously, to make him look like a victim. But I actually do believe that he was a victim in this marriage. I do believe that he was abused by her. And I actually watched her while he was testifying or while he was speaking. And it was very interesting how she was looking at him. She was observing him. And, she kind of had this kind of cold look in her eyes. I don't think she ever loved Johnny Depp, not even for one day. I think she simply married him to get her hands on his money, which she did. And I think she has utter contempt for him. And I think she gaslit him. And I think there were various forms of abuse in that marriage, not just physical abuse, but gaslighting, which is another form of abuse. I think that was a very, very toxic relationship. But I'm not letting Johnny Depp off the hook. This is not that he's completely innocent either. I think that he got married to her for very superficial reasons as well. She got married to him for superficial reasons. And I think he got married to her for very superficial reasons. And he ended up having to kind of, pay the price for his absolute stupidity. So that is my take on this so far. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but he did look very, very vulnerable on that stand. Very, very vulnerable. And I do believe that I'm not saying he's completely innocent, but I do believe that they were in an abusive marriage. And I think that she was the abuser.